everybody's shocked. Even the people that were working side by side with me 24/7 in those days had no idea the severity because I was internalizing all of it, right? I was keeping it all together for everyone else. Meanwhile, losing myself, losing my real like passion and heart behind what I was doing, performing for approval, performing for even self-acceptance to validate that I took the right path and I didn't become a nurse, but darn it, I made it, like.
Before we jump into this amazing conversation today, I want you to sit with this question. Who are you when the scrubs come off? Not nurse, not mom, not wife, not the person everyone on your unit relies on to hold it together, but who are you? Because here's what I know. After 20 years in this profession, so many of us built an entire life on autopilot, achieving, performing, showing up for everyone else, and never once stopping to ask if any of it was actually built on who we were created by the creator to be. And this is exactly why I brought my guest on today. Anna Girgan is the founder of EPIPHANIES, a movement built on one core belief: identity shapes reality. Anna helps ambitious women activate who they were created to be so they can stop living reactively and start creating lives, businesses, and legacies that actually reflect their potential. She blends neuroscience, practical strategy, and faith in a way I have not heard anywhere else. She's not handing you more information. She's helping you get activated. Anna is also the host of the Epiphanies podcast, where every single conversation starts with one question: what's your epiphany? I was actually on her show recently, so you have to go check that out. And listen, Anna's own story starts in a place a lot of us will recognize. 2 decades of a successful corporate career, leadership roles, recognition, everything that was supposed to mean that she made it. And underneath all of it, exhaustion, disconnection, running on autopilot. Burnout became her wake-up call. And walking away from the career she'd spent 20 years building was the beginning of finding out who she was outside of her title. So I know you are going to relate to this conversation. If you've ever felt like you're succeeding on paper, but disappearing in real life, this is for you. But before we dive in, I also want to let you know that there's an exciting offer at the end of this show. And this is why I wanted to air this now. And so if you have ever been interested in your own podcast, then stay tuned, listen to the end. Okay, friend, let's get into it. If you're done running on empty, surviving shift to shift, and feeling life fatigue, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Shan Wright, registered nurse, holistic life coach, and mama of 4 who found her way through burnout and anxiety to peace and purpose with faith-based practices and God's design for whole person wellness. Here, I help nurses like you recover from burnout, regulate your nervous system, reconnect with God, and discover your identity beyond the badge. Are you ready to start caring for you the way you care for everyone else? I am. Go reheat that coffee again, and let's beat burnout together. Hey, I am so excited to welcome a returning guest to Beat Nurse Burnout. She actually was on before when it was called Holistic Moms, but now she's here back with her story, and we're going to talk about a whole new thing than that episode. So go back and listen. I should put the number here, but I'll put it in the show notes to her first episode. But please welcome Anna Girgan to the show.
Hey, woo! That was like over a year ago, I feel like.
It was long. I don't even know when.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
It totally does. Okay, well, I'm so excited to have you here to share about your story. It is Beat Nurse Burnout. You're not a nurse, but you have a burnout story. And so we can relate. We can connect on that. You built a very successful corporate career, and nurses, in my mind, are leaders. They are leading in their space. And I think that's why we get burnout so easily, because sometimes we lose track of ourselves in all of that. Anyways, you'll get into it. So let's just let you take it away wherever God wants you to lead in sharing your story of your burnout.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And I wanted to be a nurse. I
No.
was on the track of being a nurse, but what stopped me? Every single girl in our high school graduating class was going to school for nursing. And I was like,
I gotta be
there's no,
different.
there's no way. There's too many of us. So
I did
a
not know
different
that.
route. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
God had a different plan. So
It was true. All of our friends became nurses.
I know. So instead, God took me on a completely different route, and I ended up growing in my retail career. And I grew up within this organization. I had started on my 18th birthday and just worked my way to the top, right?
Hmm.
So I got to corporate and I had it. I had made it. I had everything that I was aspiring towards with the title and the salary and the clout in the organization, winning all the awards. But I completely had lost myself in it, like you said. And it came to a point that I feel like like burnout is a dirty word,
Hmm.
right? Like, why is there this like embarrassment or shame that comes with admitting that we're burnt out?
Yeah.
So, like, I can do this. I'm a boss. I got this, right? But meanwhile, my body was completely shutting down on me. I was going to so many specialists. I have lost track at this point, but like neurologists for neuropathy and dentists for tooth pain and all these different specialists. And every single one of them is telling me, like, you're just stressed. And I'm like, no way. Like, my body's physically shutting down, and I'm still in complete denial that I was at
I
that.
did not know that. And wow, yes, this is what happens. And so I'm going to pick your brain on that later. But why did you ignore those things?
Because my identity was completely wrapped up in my career, and it was
Hmm.
all that I ever knew. Like I said, it was my 18th birthday. I was with
Yeah.
that organization for 20 years. So this is just kind of who I am. Now, I had grown so much and been in all these different roles. So it wasn't that I was tied to a specific role or title, but that specific organization was the only one that I knew. And the
Hmm.
idea of leaving that was terrifying, right? Like starting all over in my late 30s. What? Like that in and of itself is so scary.
Yeah.
But I think also it's going back to what I said before, where there's this expectation that I'm a corporate executive. And so I need to just hold it all together and I need to carry myself in a certain way. And I will tell you, just like you're shocked, right? Everybody's shocked. Even the people that were working side by side with me 24/7 in those days had no idea the severity because I was internalizing all of
Hmm.
it, right? I was keeping it all together for everyone else. Meanwhile, losing myself, losing my real like passion and heart behind what I was doing, performing for approval, performing for even self-acceptance to validate that I took the right path and I didn't become a nurse, but darn it, I made it,
Yeah.
like all of those things. So there's just a denial that happens. There's a total denial that happens. And for me, it was not just the amount of work pressure and work stress that I was under, but there was grief that happened. I lost my brother
Hmm.
in 22, and so there was so many different things that I'm now ignoring and not actually letting myself feel the feels and feel the things that I needed to feel because I have to show up in a certain way for everybody else at work. So it was all of that mixed together that ultimately led to I'm going to the ER because I think I'm having a stroke. And they're like, no, it's not a stroke. It's probably a panic attack. No way. Not me.
Yeah, I think a lot of things that nurses feel that we just put band-aids on or we ignore because they can be ignored is like heart palpitations or just pain in our joints. Like, well, I just walked 16 miles at work today, so no wonder. But it's like the next day and the next day, the pain's still there, or just like headaches. And we always like it's one of those things you have headaches and then you're like, well, it's probably I didn't drink enough coffee today. I probably didn't drink enough water today, or I didn't go to sleep. I'm tired. Like it's always these things. And it's like, yes, but what is at the bottom of all those things? Stress. And
Mm.
when we have tragedies that are just on top of the already chronic stress we're living in, and then you put a true stressor, like a death of a family member on top of that, that puts us immediately in burnout. And we don't get a say. It's because it's not that you failed. You did not fail. You did nothing. Death happens. It's awful. And it happens in this life. And we can't expect it. Sometimes it just happens. And if your chronic stress is not already handled, your burnout's inevitable.
Yeah. Yes. 100,000%. So it got to that point for me. My symptoms were tingling in my fingers, and even to the point I was getting double vision. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening? And I had to, I honestly would have never resigned just because of the burnout, though. Like it took
Mm-hmm.
God really calling me out of it and giving me the vision and permission for a new life and a different life
Mm-hmm.
that excited me enough and made me feel like I had the permission to step away from what I was stepping away from, that the I had burnout was completely a hindsight thing, right?
Right.
It was after I got out of it, after I'm healing and living and experiencing what it feels like to just breathe. And then you start to notice little things too, like when I go to the grocery store, I'm not hyper
Mm-hmm.
vigilant, rushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, my nervous system is actually calm for the first time in I don't even know how long,
Yeah.
right? So then you heal, you get on the other side of it. And in hindsight, 2020, it's like, oh my gosh, I was so much worse than I even realized at the time.
Yes. Okay. So this is the thing. And that's how it was for me too. It was in hindsight, did I realize I was in burnout in my nursing career? Because I have been away from bedside for quite a bit. But this is where my nurse is. She doesn't even know, she won't admit it's burnout. Some will, but then they say, well, so what? We all are. We're all in burnout. And I don't even know what my body would feel like differently. And it's almost that your nervous system is scared of that, right? If it's trying to protect you, it's like, I don't know what it would look like. It's going to be amazing. Let me just tell you. But you can't tell their nervous system that. So I want to ask you more a detailed question. So besides the body symptoms, what was your autopilot that you were on in this burnout? Like, what did your work look like? I have a big guess, but what did it look like in your everyday so that she can see where she is there from
Yeah.
these actions? I don't know if that makes sense, but what was your
Yeah.
autopilot?
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, first of all, I was eating, sleeping, breathing, and dreaming work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could not get away from it. Literally, even in my dream life, I remember joking, like, I can't even rest because I dream about work all night long.
Yep.
So I had no life outside of my job for, I'd say, like the last, probably post pandemic from 2020 up until the time I quit, which was early 23. I didn't have my own life outside of this job. Like the job was my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Autopilot looked like doom scrolling. Like my way of relaxing would be laying on the couch with Netflix on and scrolling my phone or playing a stupid game just because I needed anything that I could to take my mind off of
Mm-hmm.
the work and off of the things that were plaguing me all the time. But it also looked like it became much more difficult for me to prioritize the things that I used to not only prioritize, but love, like
Mm-hmm.
getting up at 5 and working out, right? Eating healthy. All of those things were taking a back seat also because I just didn't have the emotional energy for anything outside of getting the job done that needed to get done at that time, you know? And I think again, hindsight, there's also, I can admit at this point, I'm humble enough to admit that there is some people pleasing that was involved in that, right? Like, I think for your listeners, for the nurses, a lot of you guys are probably heart-led leaders, heartfelt leaders, and like myself, I think you have to be so cautious about your boundaries, and you have to be very aware to have super strong boundaries, because that servant heart and that giving heart and that generous heart and that caretaking heart can be so easily crossing that boundary into over giving, over exerting, over pleasing other
Yeah,
people
for
because
sure.
it feels like the right thing to do, you know? So there was 1,000% that for me. Like
Yeah.
I can't let my team down. I can't let my boss down, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And I call that autopilot that you just said, over functioning,
Mhm.
because it's like, I can feel that something's not right. I can feel maybe the hustle, maybe you don't even call it anxiety, but like the hustle, the hurry, the rushness, the urgency. And so I'm going to work harder and I'm going to do more and I am going to serve people even better so that I don't mess up and I don't do anything wrong. And I please everyone. No one can be disappointed in me. I'm giving my 1,000% here. So I see that a lot in nursing. And then you see the opposite. You see the under functioning.
Mhm.
So in nursing, you also see that because it's like, well, I'm clocking in. I don't have anything left to give. And this patient just really annoyed me and this coworker rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm going to do my job. I'm going to give them meds. I'm going to check things off. I'm going to do my notes and I'm going to leave and I'm going to check out. But that whole time that they're on that shift, they're also checked out mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They're not really serving themselves or their patients. There's so many ways that our bodies go into this stress response. We're just trying, it's like surviving. We're just trying to survive. And it's just not, it's not it.
Yep. Yep. Living off pure cortisol and adrenaline 24/7. And to your
Mm-hmm.
point, the overfunctioning, like, girl, I was breaking records left and right. Like, that's why nobody would believe it. Like,
Yeah.
you? But you're the superstar. Like, you get things done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And I
Mm-hmm.
also am so stressed that I'm just masking it. You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. Okay. Well, so as you've said, your identity has been built on this job and you encountered burnout. What happened with your identity? Like, what kind of shift did you have to make? How did you learn who you are outside of this job? What did that season of healing look like?
Oh my goodness. If there's like an identity boot camp,
You could
I
lead
went
it.
through it. Yeah, I could. I do lead it actually, kind of.
Yeah.
No. Oh my gosh. This is the crazy part because God tells me to leave, to quit, to resign the job. I put my resignation in. I intend now to just travel for a while, which was a lifelong dream. Like, I'm going to check something off my bucket list. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm going to have like a gap couple months is what I thought, and just travel. Ooh, that gap couple months turned into a gap of 2 years, which God warned me about, right? When I first quit, I remember negotiating. I was like, okay, I'm going to take off for 2 months and then I'm going to get right back into it again because it's all that I knew. That's
Mm-hmm.
who I was. I was a worker. I was a performer. That's what I knew. And so God so clearly spoke to me and was like, no, it's going to be a lot longer than that. And I was like, oh, that's really uncomfortable. I don't like that idea at all. And then he took me on this process of, I went on this solo road trip adventure, which for me, the purpose of that was to actually finally calm my nervous system and do something where the only thing I had to think about and focus on was just me and the beauty that was surrounding me, learn to hear God's voice again.
Mm-hmm.
And so much healing took place in that journey. But then in the midst of it all, I lost my mom. So it was like, whoa, talk about the lowest blow. Like, we were best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that after that, now imagine This was the only career that I ever knew. My entire identity is associated in it. Plus, my mom and I were roommates in Dallas. Like, my other part of my identity was being a daughter and her best friend. And so I literally have given away 80% of my stuff. The rest of it is in storage. I leave Dallas, not knowing when I'm coming back. Then I lose my mom. So now I'm literally living in my sister's guest room, like basically out of a suitcase. And a year ago, I was a six-figure earner with the title and all the security in the world. And now I don't even know up from down. If there's not a boot camp that will teach you who you are without any of the external things, then I would say it's that. So it was like a dark night of the soul season for me, where I then had to truly understand who God said I was, who he was calling me to be, and how I had value in him and him alone without anybody else's approval, without even having a job. Like, I'm not even earning money. I'm literally living in my sister's guest room, and I had to find a reason for going on and finding that love and that value internally and from him, as opposed from any other external circumstance.
Yeah. Wow. I like to say who you are can't be taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And before you even said it, how you said your identity was wrapped up with your mom too. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, even if they don't live with them and have them as their roommate, which is so sweet. But their identity of who they are. And then same for moms. Our identity is wrapped up in being a mom, and our kids hold our identity when they get hurt, when they get sad, when whatever, it's like it happened to us because our identity is in them. But your true identity cannot be taken away from you. The only person who gave it, God, is the only person who gets to take it away. And that's only when he takes us with him to glory. So let me ask you the loaded question, which a lot of people don't even think it's a loaded question, but it is. Who are you now?
Ooh, that is a super loaded question, right? It's I think we're always on a journey of discovering that even more and more. But now I am someone that lives with complete and total freedom to be able to put my entire life before God and like not have any other priorities in my life, any other thing that I'm striving for or looking towards, but just, okay, what do you want? What do you want to do? How do we do this? Right? So who I am now is a female founder, entrepreneur. I am a woman of God, and I am a successful business person on my own without having to have that associated with an organization. But I think the baseline of all of it is just daughter of God. Like that's the baseline of everything. And so the lifestyle that I can live now facilitates that so much more beautifully because I'm not on somebody else's strict schedule or agenda. I can have time in the morning journaling and praying, and I can take time out for myself, where before my priorities were so out of whack that nothing else mattered before checking emails and looking at Teams and doing the things for the job that needed to be done. So with that reprioritization has come like a new confidence and peace in knowing whose I am. So it's not even really who I am as much as I know whose I am more than anything.
Yeah. You've learned that. I also, I like to think of it, if the Lord's our shepherd and we're all his sheep, he's not going to just say, he calls us by name, it says. He's not going to say, sheep, come here. He's going to say, whatever he calls you. Maybe he calls you Anna, but like he's going to call you, and he calls us by name. And so that's been a really amazing journey for me in identity, because I had lived under, the nurse label, and I know a lot of people do, and the mom label, and even the wife label, then the negative ones that got put on me, the false identities that got put on me. And so living under the name that God calls you instead is you said it, like living in like a place of freedom to be. And that's what that does. When you know your identity, it truly brings freedom and peace and joy and energy and all the things, all the excitement for life. Like life is really hard and there's a lot going on around us. And especially as a nurse, you're dealing with life and death every day. And it's like, it brings all of those good things back into life when you can stand in your identity. But tell us, okay, so your whole coaching, everything is epiphanies. So tell us where that came from. What was your epiphany and how did this shape what you're doing?
Wow. Yeah, it was actually super cool. So before Epiphanies, I had a coaching business ever since 2019. Like I was really ready to go all out on my coaching before the pandemic hit. So I had a business before, but I rebranded to Epiphanies, and the timing of it was so beautiful because it actually came just from honestly like a couple random social posts where I was posting epiphany and sharing some of the epiphanies that I had. And one of my old bosses, mentor, actually someone I currently even work with now, known her forever, reached out and she was like, "You're really onto something with this epiphanies thing." And I was like, "I think you're right." I think you're right. That has a nice ring to it. So
Yeah.
I was chewing on that. And I talked about that Dark Night of the Soul season. That was 2024. I had a mission to move and be in California by 2025. So I got here New Year's Eve 2024 to start the new year in 2025. And in January of 2025 is when everything shifted. And that's when I rebranded to Epiphanies because of all of the epiphanies that I was experiencing and knowing the beauty behind it. It takes one epiphany truly to transform and change your entire life. Like it was one epiphany for me that was like, I think I need to consider completely changing careers, right? So I rebranded at the beginning of 2025. Love this brand. And then I launched international retreat, podcast, and book all within 9 months in 2025. So it was a crazy Phoenix year after all the other stuff that had happened.
When we were talking on your podcast, I was like, wait, it was only a year. And then even less than that was the time that you did those three things. I was like, wow. I felt like it was like three times that long. Like I was like, wow, Anna, I think like you've been doing this for such a long time. The book, the everything. And it's like, nope, it's just been a year. I'm like, oh my goodness. So you were busy. You obeyed though and put all those epiphanies into action and into your IP, like your stuff. And it's like that can't be duplicated. Our testimony, what he's done through us can't be duplicated. So it's like you actually put it into something that can change other lives. And that's just the really amazing thing about it.
Thank you. It took time to realize that, right? So it actually was an epiphany that I sat back and I was like, wait, after wanting to do these things for so many years, like I've dreamt about a retreat and a podcast for literally years, 7 years probably. And then both of them, from the time that I decided I'm doing this till it was launched and executed, was 72 hours. I was like, okay, interesting. I love helping activate people and get people into action, but reflecting on those experiences is what I needed to be able to create the framework to be like, this is duplicatable. Like, you guys can do this too. So it's super exciting. And yeah, to your point, like, I had no idea in January of 25 when I had just moved here and I'm like, I think I'm going to do a Costa Rica retreat. I had no idea what was going to be on the other side of all of that. You know, we never do. You just have to take action, move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So perfect. I love that you coach on that. And that's like your thing. Cause what we coach on, I mean, as a fellow coach, comes from our story and what we've learned. And I was just telling you before we press record, I'm still learning every day. And now I have more stuff to coach on because we're in the process. And it doesn't have to take so long. Like it's 72 hours. That is really like just the download comes and then you just know it's a Holy Spirit download. So that's incredible. Well, are you building any retreats out? Are you working on any other books? What are you doing? I know you're coaching. What else are you doing?
Retreats are on pause just right now, just because I don't have anything planned or in the books, but it's definitely something that I love to do, and there'll be more in the future. The book is interesting because I am feeling inspired to actually write the book,
Yeah.
I've published a money mindset workbook. It's 150 pages of just like money mindset activities. But it's time to write the book
Yeah.
about some of the parts of my journey and my experiences and what I've learned. So you can be my accountability buddy. And as an
Yeah.
action taker, I know what it's going to take. And it's going to take me just deciding, like, this is the time, probably Airbnb somewhere, right? Like, just to put myself somewhere for 3 days myself.
That's my dream. Can we go together? We
That's
won't talk. We
actually
will just write.
a writing retreat. That's my
Yes.
we
They
might
they
be on.
actually do have those, but I would love to do it more just like just the two of us or just like a couple of people, But they do have writing retreats I've heard about.
I know one of my other coaches, April Pertwee, she has writing
Oh
specific
yeah.
retreats. She's amazing too. So, but other than that, I'm really focused right now on the podcast in 72 hours workshop. So I'm so excited about this because there's so much need for it. And I remember the pain that I was in for 7 years, being like, I want to do this thing, but I'm not quite sure how to do this thing. And I'm inspired. Remember, I would be like, Shan, how do you do it? Like, I want to do it. And I was on your podcast for the first time, like, still wanting my own. And then that feeling that you get after you do the thing that you've been thinking about doing for so long is such a fantastic feeling. So I want that for more people. Like, I'm a huge believer, especially after all the loss in my life. Like, stop waiting for tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
ready comes. You need to do the things that are on your heart to do. So I have the framework now, and we're launching a beta test group at the end of July, and it's going to be literally 3 days of live workshopping and homework experiences. And with that, at the end of it, you get your first episode launched. Done.
What?
Dunzy Dunzo. Yes.
Yeah, so you're so right about that feeling. I like to say, oh, it's on my wall right here. Obedience precedes the miracle. And we've talked about this before. We don't get to decide what the miracle is. Like, God is the miracle worker. He does the miracles. And so we just have to obey. That's our only job. We don't perform miracles. We sit there and we get to participate in them and be witnesses to them. And so if he's saying start a podcast, you have to obey and do it. And who knows what miracles on the other side of it. So for me, it was just 18 months where he was saying start a podcast, and I was absolutely terrified. And I remember that feeling after recording and being like, oh my gosh, not only did I love that and it was fun, but I just obeyed my father who asked me to do something. And he just honors that and he blesses that kind of heart posture. And it's like, God, I don't know what you're doing with this, but I'm going to keep pressing record because I have faith that you're doing something with it. And all I can do is show up. And so, I mean, I've changed my niche. I've changed my podcast title. Like, I'm just continuing to let him lead and guide me. So I love this podcast in 72 hours because you're helping people take that quick action on obedience, because sometimes that's what we need, because all those thoughts, intrusive thoughts, are going to keep us holding back. And I have a client right now who's had podcast equipment for years, and now she's finally putting it out there, but it took her years looking at the equipment. So I feel like a lot of people have these hesitations, whatever they are, these limiting beliefs that are keeping them stuck. And they really do want to obey, but they don't know how to do it. And so like that accountability, that quick action, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yay, I'm so excited too. And to your point, like we were talking about before we hit record, like I would have never 2 years ago, if you would have told me I was going to be helping people start their podcast, I'd have been like, you're crazy. I've been trying to start my podcast for 7 years. But because of the steps along the way, then it's like, oh, you open the door or you knock on the door and another one opens, and then you knock on another door and another one opens, and it's like, oh, I had no idea this is where we were going, but I like it.
I know, like we are human. We do not get to see the 10 steps ahead. We only can see right in front of us that day. And to your point, we don't get tomorrow. So like do the thing today. Just live for the day and live in a place of, to round this out with stress and burnout. Like I love that people have this heart to care for others, but it is keeping you in a state of not living your life. And God doesn't have you here on this earth to not live your own life. He wants you to live with this identity that he's given you. And so, and then a lot of times that's speaking it out. So like, who knows what kind of podcasts are going to come from you taking obedient action and starting the podcast in 72 hours. The shows that come from that, they could be on all these amazing topics that are going to help people take action in their stories and heal. Like it's just going to multiply. It's what it does. When we take obedient action, it multiplies. And so, yes, I'm going to be supporting you in that 1000% and even on it a little bit. So
yes, I'm so excited you're going to be joining me for some expert Q&A time. Thank you. But you just made me think of something too. I feel like it's important to share or talk about. It really is, because there's probably people like, oh yeah, but I'm borderline burnout. I'm stressed. I don't know if I can have the time. Something that I've learned too that is so critical, and it's come up a lot recently, is if you're in the lane that you're supposed to be in and you're doing passion projects, they're actually going to feed you and feed your energy as opposed to taking and sucking your energy away from you. So when it comes to, I like to use the analogy of like working out, right? So tell me, Shan, like what's your favorite workout to do?
Lately, well, I guess lift weights.
Lift weights. What do you hate to do working out?
Oh gosh, I love working out. So I'm like, what do I hate? Well, maybe I'm like maybe running a marathon. I've never done that and I would hate to do it.
Okay. So running would feel so much more difficult in this analogy. If you just roll with the analogy, let's just say you hate running in general. Running 3 miles is going to feel so much more exhausting and so much more energy draining, and the time's going to pass slower than lifting weights for an hour, because you love lifting weights and it's like life-giving and it's something you enjoy to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same analogy can be applied to the things that were our passion projects, our work, our relationships. All of those, are they life-giving or are they life-taking? So if you're interested in something, like my whole goal, one of my North Stars is I want to wake up excited every day.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to wake up dreading the things that I have to do for the day. Of course, every once in a while we have to go to the DMV. But in general, we do have autonomy and we do have choices. And my goal is to design a life for myself that every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm so excited to work on this workshop. It's going to be the most amazing workshop for other people. It's going to impact so many lives. And I jump out of bed and it brings me joy.
Yeah.
So if there's things that you are wanting to do, but you're nervous to do them because of the amount of time that you think that you have, if it's a passion project, if it's something that your heart is behind and that God is calling you towards, you're going to have the energy for it. In fact, it might actually give you more energy.
Absolutely. And even as a nurse, if you're like, I'm done with nursing, then stop staying in it until retirement. Just stop, because it's not giving you life and we only get this one life. So good. Okay. Well, I am so sad to say we're out of time, but if you could, I'll end with this. If you could hand every high achieving woman, whatever she's doing in life, she is a high achieving woman and she's listening right now. If you could hand her one truth about who she is, about her story, about just this life that she is chasing, apart from her job, her title, the burnout that she's in, what would it be? One truth.
You are a human being and not a human doing, and you don't have to strive for validation, acceptance, love. You are valuable just as you are, and you don't have to perform for your worth.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, mic drop. Okay, so we'll put all the info in the show notes where they can find you, where they can find this podcast in a weekend. I'm going to air this before that on purpose because I want to share it. But anything else on how they can find you?
Instagram, you can DM me directly. I love to hear from you guys. So it's Epiphanies with Anna on Instagram is my personal IG. Would love messages. You can find me on Facebook. Follow me there. My website currently is epiphaniescoaching.com. So any of those places, but I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I pray that blessed you, and it would bless me big if you would share the show with a friend or write a review. It will only take a few minutes, and it's the best way for people to find the show too. I would love to connect over on Instagram at @theshanwright, or you can email me hello@theshanwright.com. And until next time, may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace. Shalom.